The waiting room smelled like fear. Ryan Cross noticed at the moment he walked in that sharp metallic scent that dozens of nervous alien species produced when stressed. Students from across the galaxy sat on benches designed for their various body types, some meditating, others reviewing combat techniques on data pads, a few praying to gods Ryan had never heard of. He found an empty spot near the back and set down his reinforced travel crate. The thing inside shifted, making the container rock slightly. Ryan opened his pack and pulled out a strip of dried meat, then carefully unlatched one corner of the crate just enough to slide the treat inside. A small grunt of satisfaction came from within. A four-armed student from the Draxian Empire glanced over, his scales shifting to a confused purple color. "You brought a pet to graduation trials?" Ryan smiled. "Not a pet, a partner." The Draxian scales darkened with what might have been pity or contempt. "Hard to tell with their species. The trial is no place for companion animals. The razor scale will kill it in seconds." "Maybe," Ryan said, though he didn't believe it for a second. The Galactic Combat Academy had stood on Orbital 7 for 300 years, training elite soldiers from every corner of known space. The final trial was legendary. Students entered an arena to face the razor scale, a predator captured from Crimson 9, a world so hostile that most species couldn't survive there even in environmental suits. The creature stood 8 meters tall, covered in armor-like scales that could deflect plasma rounds, with claws that secreted a venom capable of paralyzing most known biology. No one had ever defeated it. The goal was simply to survive 10 minutes without yielding. 40% of students failed, dragged out unconscious or screaming. The Academy kept medical teams on standby and had perfected trauma treatment over the centuries. Ryan had watched footage of previous trials. The razor scale was smart, experienced, and absolutely lethal. It had fought hundreds of times and knew every trick students tried. Speed didn't help because it was faster. Strength didn't matter because it was stronger. Strategy only delayed the inevitable because it learned and adapted. Most species spent weeks preparing for this moment. Meditation, combat drills, mental conditioning. Some took chemical enhancers to dull fear. Others underwent ritual scarification to prove their courage to their gods. Ryan had spent his prep time teaching Badger new tricks and making sure his companion had plenty of good food that a mechanical voice echoed through the waiting room. "Student Vel, 9 of the Talarian Scouts, please proceed to the arena." A lizard-like being stood, their tail swishing nervously. They walked through the reinforced doors, and screens along the walls activated, showing multiple angles of the arena. The Talarian was fast. Ryan had to give them credit. They lasted 8 minutes using speed and agility, staying just ahead of the razor scale's attacks. But the creature was patient. It herded the student into a corner and struck with its venomous claws. The Talarian collapsed, and medical drones rushed in. Student after student went through. Some lasted the full 10 minutes through defensive tactics. Others fell within minutes. The razor scale never showed fatigue, never lost focus. It was the perfect test of survival instinct. "Student Ryan Cross of Earth, please proceed to the arena." Ryan stood and picked up the crate. It wasn't heavy, maybe 15 kilograms with his companion inside. He walked through the doors into the arena, and the change in atmosphere hit him immediately. The space was enormous, designed for aerial combat species, with rough terrain that included rocks, sand, and scattered obstacles. At the far end, a massive gate began to rise. The razor scale emerged slowly, deliberately. It was even bigger in person than in videos. Armored scales covered every inch of its body, overlapping like natural armor plating. Its eyes were intelligent, calculating. This wasn't a mindless beast. It was an apex predator with hundreds of fights worth of experience. The observation galleries above filled with students and instructors. Ryan could hear their confusion as he set the crate down in the center of the arena and calmly unlatched it. "Is the human surrendering already?" someone asked through the speakers. "Maybe it's a cultural ritual?" another voice suggested. Ryan opened the crate fully and stepped back. "Come on out, buddy. Time to show them what Earth is all about." A stocky creature emerged, low to the ground with silver-gray fur, a white stripe running down its back, and claws designed for digging. Badger stretched, yawned to show impressive teeth, and looked around the arena with what could only be described as casual interest. Silence filled the observation galleries. Then someone laughed. One person at first, then others joined in. The laughter built until it echoed through the arena like a wave. "That's a rodent," the Draxian from the waiting room announced. The human brought a rodent to fight the razor scale. "It's not a rodent," Ryan called up to the galleries. "He's a honey badger. And his name is Badger, because I'm not great with creative names." More laughter. Even some of the instructors were smiling. Though they looked concerned, one of the senior academy officials, a gray-furred being from species Ryan hadn't learned yet, activated the announcement system. "Student Cross, we appreciate cultural diversity, but this trial cannot proceed. Remove your animal before it gets hurt. We'll reschedule your trial." Ryan shook his head. "With respect, sir, Badger passed the same aptitude tests I did to get into this academy. He's registered as my combat partner, not a pet. According to academy regulations, combat partners are allowed in the final trial as long as they meet minimum sapience requirements. That creature is barely 12 kilograms," another instructor protested. 13, Ryan corrected. "He's been eating well." The razor scale had been watching this exchange with what might have been confusion. It tilted its massive head, studying the small Earth creature that had entered its domain. In hundreds of fights, nothing this small had ever been released into the arena. Badger finally noticed the razor scale. The honey badger's posture didn't change, didn't show any sign of fear or hesitation. Instead, Badger made a low huffing sound and started walking toward the massive predator, not running away. Walking toward it, the laughter in the galleries died instantly. Ryan smiled. "That's my boy. Show them what Earth taught us." An emergency override crackled through the arena speakers. "Stop the trial immediately. This is dangerous for the animal." Ryan held up one hand without taking his eyes off Badger. "Give us 1 minute. If Badger wants to quit, he'll come back to me." Honey badgers are real good at self-preservation when they feel like it. That was only partly true, but the academy officials didn't need to know that yet. The razor scale lowered its head, studying this strange small creature approaching without fear. In the predator's experience, prey ran. Even the brave students who entered this arena showed fear in their movements, their breathing, their scent. This tiny thing showed nothing but mild interest. Badger stopped about 5 meters away and sat down, scratching behind his ear with a back leg like he had all the time in the world. "I should explain something," Ryan called up to the galleries, his voice carrying in the arena's acoustics. "Earth isn't what you think it is." A three-eyed instructor from some aquatic world responded through the speakers. "We have Earth classified as a class, Forgarden world. Mild climate, abundant resources, minimal megafauna threats." "Right about that," Ryan said. "Who did that classification?" A pause. "Initial survey teams 2 decades ago during first contact." Ryan nodded. "Let me guess. They landed in temperate zones, saw some deer and rabbits, maybe some birds, and decided Earth was a nice, gentle place where humans had an easy time evolving. The data supports this conclusion," the aquatic instructor insisted. "The data is incomplete," Ryan said. "Earth has polar regions where the temperature drops to -50 degrees, deserts where it hits +50. We have predators that hunt in packs and can bring down prey 10 times their size. We have reptiles with venom that can kill a human in minutes. We have insects that spread diseases that killed millions of us before we developed medicine. We have ocean predators with thousands of teeth. We have land predators that can run faster than our ancient vehicles. Earth isn't gentle. Earth is beautiful and absolutely trying to kill everything on it." Badger stopped scratching and looked back at Ryan, as if to say, "Are you done talking?" "Humans survive by being smart and adaptable," Ryan continued. "But we shared Earth with thousands of species that survive by being tough. Badger here, his species evolved in one of the harshest environments on Earth. A place with venomous snakes, big cats, wild dogs, scorpions, and competition for every scrap of food." The razor scale made a rumbling sound, getting impatient. It had fought hundreds of times. This small creature should be running by now. Honey badgers developed some interesting traits, Ryan said. Their skin is really thick and loose. When a predator bites down, the honey badger can twist inside its own skin and bite back. Their hide can take strikes from claws, stings from insects, bites from snakes. They're immune to venom that would kill most earth creatures. Cobra venom, scorpion stings be toxins. Their bodies just process it and keep going. Several species in the galleries started checking their data pads, pulling up Earth databases. But the most important thing about honey badgers, Ryan said, is that they don't have a fear response like most species. It's not that they're brave. Bravery means being scared but doing it anyway. Honey badgers just don't get scared. Evolution removed that limitation because being afraid would have been a disadvantage in their environment. The Draxian from earlier spoke up. That's impossible. Fear is a survival mechanism. Every species has it. Every species you've met, Ryan corrected. Earth plays by different rules. The razor scale finally lost patience. It lunged forward, covering the distance to Badger in two massive strides. Claws extended for a strike that would have split a smaller creature in half. Badger didn't run. The galleries went silent. Instead, Badger charged directly at the razor scale. The predator's claws came down, raking across Badger's back. The thick hide absorbed most of the impact, and the loose skin meant the claws couldn't get a solid grip. Badger slid underneath the massive creature and immediately went for its back leg, claws digging into the softer scales between the armor plates. The razor scale roared, a sound that made several students in the galleries cover their ears. It spun, trying to catch the small attacker, but Badger was already moving, targeting the other back leg. Honey badgers hunt prey bigger than themselves on Earth, Ryan narrated calmly. They know anatomy. They know where to strike. Tendons, joints, soft spots. They fight smart because they can't afford to fight fair. The razor scale managed to catch Badger with its tail, sending the honey badger tumbling across the arena floor. The galleries gasped. Medical drones activated, ready to retrieve what should have been a fatal blow. Badger rolled, came to his feet, shook himself once, and immediately charged back. They also don't quit, Ryan added. Ever. There are videos on Earth of honey badgers fighting lions, leopards, hyenas. The bigger animals usually give up first because the honey badger just keeps coming. Pain doesn't stop them. Injuries don't stop them. They have one setting, and it's forward. The razor scale tried its venomous claws again, scoring direct hits across Badger's side. The venom that paralyzed most species made Badger stumble slightly, then shake his head like he'd tasted something bitter. Oh, and that venom your creature uses? Ryan said, Badger's been stung by things on Earth that would kill me in minutes. His metabolism is designed to handle toxins. He'll feel that tomorrow, maybe, but right now it's just annoying him. Badger proved this by climbing onto the razor scale's back leg, using those powerful claws to grip into the gaps between scales and pulling himself higher. The predator thrashed, trying to dislodge this impossible creature that refused to die or flee. Instructors in the galleries were frantically accessing Earth databases now, and Ryan could hear their shocked reactions as they found information about honey badgers. Guinness World Record holder for most fearless creature, one voice read aloud. Known to fight animals 10 times their size. Thick skin immune to machete strikes, arrows, and animal bites. Capable of eating venomous snakes without ill effects. Noted for savage tenacity and refusal to retreat under any circumstances. That's all accurate, Ryan confirmed. Though I'd add that they're also pretty affectionate once they decide they like you. Badger sleeps on my bed most nights. The razor scale managed to slam its body against the arena wall, trying to crush Badger between stone and scales. Badger grunted, lost his grip, and fell to the ground. The predator raised its claws for a finishing strike. Badger looked up at the massive creature, made a sound that Ryan recognized as annoyance, and when those claws came down, he bit one of them. The razor scale screamed, not roared. Screamed that no student in 300 years had made the creature scream. Blood dripped from the razor scale's claw where Badger's teeth had punched through the armored surface. The predator yanked its limb back, And for the first time in its long career as the Academy's ultimate test, it took a step backward. Badger spit out a piece of scale and made a huffing sound that might have been satisfaction. The observation galleries erupted in chaos. Students were shouting, instructors were arguing, and several species that Ryan couldn't identify were making sounds that their translators couldn't process in any known language. The timer on the arena wall showed 3 minutes had passed. 7 more to go for a standard completion. Ryan sat down on a convenient rock and pulled out a water container. "Badger, you want a break?" The honey badger glanced back at him, then at the razor scale, which was now circling cautiously. Badger's expression, as much as a honey badger could have expressions, seemed to say, "I'm just getting started," before he charged again. "Right, stupid question," Ryan muttered. The razor scale had learned something in those 3 minutes. This small creature was dangerous. More dangerous than its size suggested. More dangerous than anything the predator had faced in this arena. It tried a different strategy, using its superior reach to strike from a distance. Badger dodged one swipe, took a glancing blow from another, and used the momentum to close distance. His claws found purchase on the razor scale's front leg, and he began climbing again. The senior instructor, the gray-furred one who had tried to stop the trial earlier, activated his communication link. "Student Cross, what is your companion strategy here? Is he trying to exhaust the razor scale?" Ryan took a drink of water. "Badger doesn't really do strategy in the way you mean. He's doing what honey badgers always do. He's attacking until either he wins or the other thing gives up. There's no complex plan. He sees a threat, he fights it. Size doesn't matter. Danger doesn't matter. Pain doesn't matter. He's going to keep going until something changes." "That's insane," a student said from the galleries. "That's evolution on Earth," Ryan corrected. Honey badgers that hesitated died. Honey badgers that felt fear died. Honey badgers that gave up died. What survived was this, a species that just keeps coming no matter what. Nature's perfect example of refusing to quit. The razor scale tried to bite Badger, but the loose skin meant its teeth couldn't get a solid grip. Badger twisted in the predator's mouth and bit the sensitive tissue inside, making the creature release him immediately. He landed on his feet and went straight for the razor scale's underbelly, the most vulnerable area on any creature. The predator reared back, desperate to protect that weakness. In doing so, it exposed its neck. Badger was already moving. Those powerful digging claws found holds on the razor scale's chest, and he climbed with the same determination he'd shown from the start. The predator thrashed violently, but Badger held on, claws dug in deep. "He's going for the kill," a Talarian student said, horror in their voice. "No," Ryan said calmly. "If Badger wanted to kill it, he'd be targeting arteries. He's making a point." Badger reached the razor scale's neck and bit down, not with his full strength, but enough to draw blood and cause pain. The predator froze, every instinct screaming that a killing blow was one bite away. 0.5 minutes had passed on the timer. Then something unprecedented happened. The razor scale lowered itself to the ground in a submissive posture. The galleries went completely silent. Students who had been watching Academy trials for years, who had studied centuries of footage, who knew every statistic about the razor scale's performance, couldn't process what they were seeing. The apex predator of Crimson 9, the creature that had terrorized hundreds of students, was submitting to a 13-kilogram animal from Earth. Badger released his bite, but stayed on the razor scale's neck, making it clear he could resume at any moment. His message was simple and universal. "I'm not afraid of you, and I will never stop." Ryan stood and walked over. "Okay, buddy, you made your point. Let him up." Badger huffed, clearly wanting to continue, but responded to Ryan's voice. He climbed down from the razor scale and walked back to his human, looking quite pleased with himself. The razor scale didn't move, still flat against the arena floor. Trial complete, Ryan called up to the galleries. "Do I pass?" The gray-furred senior instructor took several seconds to respond. When he did, his voice was shaky. "In 300 years of Academy history, no student has ever made the razor scale submit. We don't have a protocol for this situation." "Make one up," Ryan suggested. "I'm pretty sure we both survived 10 minutes, which was the requirement." Another instructor, the aquatic one from earlier, spoke up. We need to reassess everything. Our entire understanding of Earth biology requires immediate review. Probably a good idea, Ryan agreed. He pulled out another strip of dried meat and offered it to Badger, who took it and started eating with typical honey badger enthusiasm. Medical drones approached the razor scale cautiously. The predator's wounds weren't life-threatening, but they were extensive. Badger had targeted every weak point with precision, accumulating damage that added up to something the creature had never experienced before. Defeat, a veterinary specialist arrived in the arena, specifically trained for the razor scale's biology. She approached carefully, and the predator didn't react with its usual aggression. It seemed exhausted, not physically, but mentally. Something had broken in its understanding of the world. Ryan knelt down and checked Badger over. The honey badger had cuts, bruises, and places where venom had burned the skin. None of it seemed to bother him much. He finished his meat and looked up at Ryan as if to ask what's next. "You're a crazy little monster, you know that," Ryan said affectionately. Badger made a pleased sound. The Draxian student from the waiting room descended to the arena floor, his scales shifting through colors that indicated confusion and awe. "How is this possible? That creature weighs less than my arm. The razor scale could crush it with one step." Could, but didn't, Ryan pointed out. Because Badger didn't give it the chance. And because the razor scale learned something today that it never had to learn before. Sometimes the small thing is more dangerous than the big thing. Students were pulling up every piece of Earth data they could find now. Ryan could hear fragments of shocked conversation as they discovered other Earth species. Saltwater crocodiles with bite forces that exceed most known species. Polar bears that can smell prey from 30 kilometers away. Orcas that hunt in coordinated packs and kill sharks. Poison dart frogs smaller than my finger that carry enough toxin to kill dozens of beings. The Academy's medical center was designed for dozens of species, with specialized equipment for different biologies. Badger sat on an examination table clearly meant for someone much larger, looking annoyed while a nervous veterinary technician tried to scan his injuries. "Please hold still," the technician, a six-limbed insectoid from Hive Cluster Sigma, pleaded. "I need accurate readings." Badger huffed and stopped moving, though he kept his eyes on the door like he was considering making a run for it. Ryan stood nearby, answering questions from a growing crowd of instructors and students who had followed them from the arena. The Academy senior leadership had called an emergency meeting, but several officials had decided getting direct answers from the human was more important than procedures. The Greyford instructor, who had introduced himself as Director Harvin, reviewed data on his pad. "According to our scans, your companion sustained 14 separate lacerations, 3 impact injuries consistent with collision trauma, and exposure to venom that should have caused complete neural shutdown in any species we have on record." "But he's fine," Ryan said. "He's not fine," Director Harvin protested. "He's gravely injured, yet his vital signs are barely elevated. His pain response is minimal. His mobility is unimpaired. This makes no medical sense." The veterinary technician spoke up. "Director, I'm reading something unusual. His metabolism is processing the venom actively, breaking it down into component proteins and distributing them through his bloodstream. It's like watching a chemical filtration system work in real time. That's normal for honey badgers," Ryan explained. "They eat venomous snakes on Earth, not as a challenge, just as food. Their bodies treat venom like any other toxin, process it, and move on. The razor scale's venom is probably stronger than anything on Earth, so Badger will feel rough for a day or two, but he'll heal." A Talarian instructor, her scales marked with military service ribbons, leaned forward. "Student Cross, I've been reviewing Earth records. Your species has coexisted with thousands of predatory animals throughout your evolution. How do humans survive to develop civilization?" Ryan smiled. "We're persistent. Not the fastest, not the strongest, but we don't give up. Ancient humans would chase prey for days until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. We couldn't outrun a deer, but we could follow it until it was too tired to run anymore. We learned to work together, share knowledge, make tools. And we learned from the animals around us. Like honey badgers," Director Harvin said. "Like everything," Ryan corrected. Wolves taught us about pack hunting. Birds taught us about migration patterns. Even insects taught us about building complex structures. Earth is dangerous, but it's also the greatest teacher in our part of space. Every species there survived by being exceptional at something. The Draxian student, whose name was Krell, had been quiet since the arena. Now he spoke up. On my world, we pride ourselves on being apex predators. For arms, armored scales, venom glands, we evolved to dominate our environment. But watching that trial, I realized something. We never had to coexist with real competition. Drax has one apex predator, us. Earth has thousands. Ryan nodded. That's the difference. Humans didn't dominate Earth. We survived it. That shapes how we think about everything. A medical alert chimed. The technician checked the scanner, and her antenna twitched with surprise. He's already healing. Cellular regeneration is accelerating. At this rate, most of these injuries will be sealed within 12 hours. Badger chose that moment to hop off the examination table, done with being poked and scanned. He walked over to Ryan and made an expectant sound. He wants dinner, Ryan translated. Fighting makes him hungry. Director Harvin pinched the bridge of his nose, a gesture that apparently translated across species. We need to completely revise our threat assessment of Earth. The initial survey was catastrophically incomplete. To be fair to your survey teams, Ryan said, Earth can seem gentle if you land in the right spots. But even our safe zones have dangers. Humans get killed by Earth creatures every year. Venomous snakes, large predators, even small insects carrying diseases. We just learn to respect nature and work with it instead of trying to conquer it. An announcement echoed through the medical center. Student Ryan Cross and Badger, please report to the Academy board chamber immediately. The walk through the Academy's corridors was unlike anything Ryan had experienced in his time there. Students stopped and stared. Some pressed themselves against walls to let Badger pass, eyeing the small creature with new respect. Others asked to take images, treating the honey badger like a celebrity. Badger handled the attention with typical indifference, more interested in sniffing various alien scents than acknowledging his fans. The board chamber was an impressive room with seats arranged in a semicircle, elevated so board members could look down on whoever stood in the center. Ryan had been here once before, during his academy enrollment interview. That time, the board had been skeptical but willing to give a human a chance. Now, all 15 board members were present, representing different species and military traditions from across the galaxy. Director Harvin took his seat among them. Student Cross, the board chairman, began. She was from a species Ryan didn't recognize, tall and crystalline with a voice that resonated like music. What happened in the arena today has created a significant problem for this academy. Ryan stayed quiet, letting her continue. The Razor Scale trial has been our final test for 300 years. It measures a warrior's ability to survive against overwhelming force. Students are expected to demonstrate courage, tactical thinking, and the wisdom to know when survival requires retreat. The trial is designed to be impossible to win. But I won, Ryan said simply. Your companion won, the chairman corrected, using methods we didn't anticipate and abilities we didn't know existed. Badger is my registered combat partner, Ryan pointed out. According to Academy regulations, combat partners are extensions of the student. His victory is my victory. A board member from a water-dwelling species spoke up, their words filtered through translation software. The regulations were written assuming combat partners would be sapient species. Other soldiers trained professionals, not animals. Badger passed the same aptitude tests as any sapient partner, Ryan countered. He demonstrated problem-solving, tactical awareness, and the ability to follow commands. He meets every requirement in your regulations. Director Harvin pulled up documents on his display. Technically, Student Cross is correct. We never specified sapience requirements for combat partners because we assumed it was obvious. That oversight is on us. The chairman's crystalline form shifted colors, maybe indicating frustration. The issue isn't legality. It's what this means for Earth's classification. We had you listed as a low-threat species from a garden world. If your companion animals are this dangerous, what are your actual predators like? Ryan considered his answer carefully. The board members waited, and Badger sat beside him, occasionally scratching himself and clearly unbothered by the formal atmosphere. Honey badgers aren't our predators, Ryan said finally. They're omnivores, actually. They eat honey, fruits, insects, small animals, whatever they can find. But they also fight predators much bigger than themselves. On Earth, we have animals that would make the razor scale look like a gentle pet. The board's reaction was immediate. Several members started talking at once until the chairman raised a crystalline hand for silence. Explain, she said simply. Earth has bears that stand 3 meters tall and can run faster than most vehicles. We have big cats that hunt silently and can kill prey with a single bite to the spine. We have reptiles that grow up to 6 meters long with jaws strong enough to drag water buffalo underwater. We have ocean predators with teeth in rows, designed to replace themselves constantly, that can smell a drop of blood from kilometers away. And we have smaller creatures like honey badgers that survive by being too tough and too stubborn for the bigger predators to bother with. Director Harvin was taking notes frantically. And humans evolve alongside all of these. Evolved because of them, Ryan corrected. Humans developed big brains because we needed them. We couldn't outrun predators, so we learned to outthink them. We couldn't outfight them, so we learned to use tools. We couldn't survive alone, so we learned to work together. Earth made us smart because being strong wasn't enough. A board member whose species Ryan recognized as Kelthrin spoke up. This changes our entire understanding of human capabilities. We've been treating your species as administrators and technicians, useful for bureaucracy and maintenance work. Because that's what we showed you, Ryan said. When humanity joined the galactic community, we were excited, peaceful, eager to learn. We sent diplomats and scientists and cultural ambassadors. We didn't send soldiers because we weren't looking for a fight. But that doesn't mean we can't fight. The chairman's colors shifted again. Are you saying humanity has been hiding its military capabilities? No, Ryan said firmly. We've been honest about everything. But when you ask a human about military strength, we think of spaceships and weapons and technology. We forget to mention that every human grows up on a planet where nature is constantly trying to kill them. We forget that's unusual because to us, it's just normal life. Badger made a sound and pawed at Ryan's leg. Ryan pulled out another strip of dried meat and gave it to him. The honey badger ate it happily while 15 of the galaxy's top military educators watched. That brings us to the immediate problem, the chairman said. What do we do about the razor scale trial? It can't continue as is. Your companion broke its spirit. The creature that fought hundreds of students without fear now refuses to enter the arena. Ryan felt a pang of guilt. I didn't want to hurt it permanently. Badger was just doing what comes naturally. We know, Director Harvin said. The veterinary team says the razor scale will recover physically within weeks. Psychologically, though, it learned something it never knew before. Fear. It may have actually been a kindness. The creature was trapped in an endless cycle of fighting. Now it has a reason to stop. We're returning it to Crimson 9, the chairman added, with monitoring to ensure it reintegrates successfully. The trial system will be redesigned with more humane alternatives. A weight lifted from Ryan's shoulders. Thank you. I was worried we'd ruined something important. You did ruin something, a Draxian board member said, but there was no anger in his voice. You ruined our assumptions. That's valuable in its own way. The chairman stood, her crystalline form catching the room's light. Student Ryan Cross, after lengthy discussion, the board has reached several decisions. First, you and your companion Badger have successfully completed the Academy's final trial. You'll graduate with full honors. Ryan hadn't realized how tense he'd been until relief flooded through him. Second, the chairman continued. Earth will be reclassified in galactic databases, not as a garden world, but as a Class 2 death world with extreme biodiversity and survival pressure. Class 2? Ryan asked. What's Class 1? Crimson 9, where the razor scale comes from. Worlds so hostile that only the most extreme species can survive unprotected. Class 2 means dangerous but capable of supporting diverse life. In some ways, that's more impressive. Crimson 9 produced a few apex predators. Earth produced thousands of species that all found ways to survive alongside each other. Director Harvin added, "We're also sending research teams to Earth, with your government's permission. Not to study humans, but to study everything else. If honey badgers are this remarkable, we need to understand what other species on your world might teach us. Just be careful," Ryan warned. "Earth can be beautiful and safe if you respect it, but it punishes carelessness fast. Don't pet the animals unless you know what you're doing. Don't eat plants unless you're sure they're safe. Don't assume something is harmless because it's small. We'll take every precaution," the chairman promised. "Third, we have a proposal for you. The Galactic Ranger Corps has requested your assignment after graduation. They want humans who understand Death World survival. They especially want someone who can work with Earth species as partners." Ryan looked down at Badger, who had finished a snack and was now grooming his claws. "What do you think, buddy? Want to see more of the galaxy?" Badger looked up and made a sound that Ryan chose to interpret as agreement. "I'll take that as a yes," Ryan told the board. The chairman's colors shifted to something that might have been amusement. "Excellent. You'll ship out after graduation ceremonies next week. Your first assignment will be cultural liaison training. The galaxy needs to understand Earth better, and you've proven you can explain your world effectively. Plus," Director Harvin added with what might have been a smile, "several dozen students have already asked how they can get Earth companion animals of their own. You'll need to explain why that's not as simple as they think." Ryan laughed. "Because honey badgers choose their partners, not the other way around. Badger decided he liked me after I accidentally fell into a ravine near his territory, and he pulled me out. Could have easily left me there or attacked while I was helpless, but he helped instead. We've been partners ever since." Graduation day arrived with clear skies visible through the station's massive viewing ports. Orbital 7 offered a stunning view of the gas giant it orbited, swirling storms of purple and blue that had existed for millions of years. Ryan wore his academy uniform, freshly pressed, with a new insignia marking him as a graduate. Badger had his own small vest, specially made, with the same insignia scaled down. The honey badger had tried to chew it off twice before accepting that Ryan wasn't going to let him go naked to the ceremony. The auditorium held thousands of beings from hundreds of species. Families had traveled across the galaxy to watch their children graduate. Ryan's family couldn't make the journey from Earth, the distance too far and the cost too high, but they'd sent messages that waited in his comm unit. He'd read them later, probably cry a little, and then get back to work. Students filed in by species group, a tradition the Academy maintained. Ryan walked alone until Krell, the Draxian, broke formation to walk beside him. "You don't have to do that," Ryan said quietly. "I want to," Krell replied. "You change how I see everything. The least I can do is graduate beside you." Others joined them. The Talarian scout who had gone before Ryan in the trial. A trio of insectoid engineers. A massive warrior from a high-gravity world. By the time they reached their seats, Ryan had a dozen students around him from different species, all choosing to sit with the human and his honey badger. The ceremony followed traditional formats with speeches from board members about duty, honor, and service. Director Harvin spoke about adaptation and learning, his words clearly influenced by recent events, though he didn't mention the Razor Scale trial directly. When the chairman took the stage, her crystalline form shimmered in the auditorium lights. "This graduation marks several historic moments," she began. "For the first time, we have students from 70 different species completing their training together. For the first time, we have representatives from the newly discovered Earth." The audience applauded politely, though Ryan noticed the applause got louder when the chairman continued. "And for the first time in 300 years, we have completely revised our final trial system based on lessons learned from this class." That got real attention. Murmurs spread through the audience. One student and his companion showed us that our assumptions about strength, courage, and survival were too narrow. They demonstrated that size doesn't determine capability, that fearlessness can be a trait rather than a choice, and that the bond between species can create partnerships stronger than any individual. Ryan felt his face heating up. This was more attention than he was comfortable with. Student Ryan Cross and Badger, please come to the stage. Badger made an annoyed sound, but followed Ryan up the steps. The stage was built for various species sizes, which meant Badger could actually be seen by most of the audience once they reached the top. The chairman held out a data pad with their official graduation certification. Ryan Cross, you have completed the Galactic Combat Academy's training with highest honors. Your tactical analysis scores rank in the top 5%. Your physical conditioning exceeds requirements for human baseline. Your cultural adaptability has been noted by every instructor you worked with. She paused and looked down at Badger. Badger, you have demonstrated problem-solving capabilities, tactical awareness, and combat effectiveness that exceed most sapient species. You are hereby awarded Honorary Academy certification, the first for a non-sapient being in our history. A second data pad appeared, this one with Badger's information. Ryan had to hold it because Badger didn't have opposable thumbs. The audience erupted in applause that went on for almost a minute. Badger tolerated it with the patience of someone who had better things to do but was being polite. After the ceremony, dozens of students and families approached Ryan. Some wanted to take images with Badger, who allowed exactly 3 before deciding he was done and hiding behind Ryan's legs. Others asked questions about Earth, about honey badgers, about what other creatures existed there. The young Keltherin, probably someone's sibling, looked up at Ryan with wide eyes. Is Earth really scary? Ryan knelt down to the child's level. Earth can be dangerous, but it's also beautiful. You just have to be smart and respectful, like any place worth visiting. The child seemed satisfied with that answer. Later, Ryan found himself back in his quarters, packing for the journey to his first assignment. Badger had claimed the bed and was already asleep. Exhausted from a day of attention and formal events, the message came through on Ryan's comm. Director Harvin's face appeared on the screen. Student Cross, or should I say Ranger Cross now. I wanted to personally thank you before you ship out. The Academy has received funding for a complete Earth biology research program. Several universities want to establish exchange programs. And we've had 36 applications from students wanting to study on Earth specifically. Ryan smiled. That's great, sir. Earth could use more understanding out here. There's something else. Harvin continued. The Razor scale was returned to Crimson 9 yesterday. The research team monitoring its reintegration sent a report. The creature is doing well. Actually better than well. It's become more cautious, more strategic in its hunting. Learning fear made it smarter, more adaptable. It might live longer now that it doesn't think it's invincible. I'm glad, Ryan said honestly. Badger didn't want to hurt it permanently. I know. That's another lesson you taught us. Strength isn't about domination. It's about knowing when to fight and when to stop. Harvin paused. Good luck out there, Ranger Cross. Make Earth proud. The transmission ended. Ryan looked over at Badger, still sleeping peacefully despite the galaxy, now knowing what honey badgers could do. The small creature had changed everything just by being himself. No pretense, no holding back, just pure honey badger determination. We did it, buddy, Ryan said softly. Now comes the real work. His orders waited in the comm system. The Ranger Corps wanted him at their training facility in 3 days. From there, assignments could take him anywhere in known space. Diplomatic missions, research expeditions, security operations, wherever humans and their unique perspective on survival could help. And wherever he went, Badger would be there too. Partners from a death world most species had underestimated. Representatives of a planet that taught its inhabitants that survival meant respecting nature, not conquering it. Ryan pulled up images of Earth from his personal files. Blue oceans, green forests, white mountains, golden deserts. A world of extreme beauty and extreme danger existing together, teaching everything that lived there to be tough, smart, and adaptable. The galaxy was about to learn what that meant that a soft knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. Krell stood in the hallway, carrying 2 drinks from the station's recreation area. Thought you might want company for your last night here, the Draxian said. Ryan smiled and let him in. They sat on the small couch, careful not to disturb Badger, and talked about their upcoming assignments. Krell had been assigned to a border patrol unit, while Ryan's orders took him to diplomatic training. "Do you think we'll see each other again?" Krell asked. "The galaxy's big, but not that big," Ryan replied. "Rangers cross paths eventually. Besides, you owe me a rematch in combat simulations. I let you win last time." Krell's scales shifted to an amused color. "You lost by 30 points. Like I said, I let you win." They laughed, and Badger made a sleepy noise of complaint about the noise. Outside the viewing port, stars stretched in every direction. Thousands of systems, millions of worlds, billions of beings all connected through the network of galactic civilization. And now Earth was part of that network, bringing its own unique gifts to the community. Humans who survive by thinking ahead. Honey badgers who taught the meaning of fearless determination. And countless other species from a world that demanded excellence just to survive another day. The galaxy was bigger than Ryan had ever imagined, but also smaller than he'd feared. Different species, different biologies, different cultures, but all sharing the same basic needs. Safety, purpose, connection. Earth could offer all of that and more. Ryan raised his drink. To survival. Krell raised his. To partnership. They drank, and somewhere in the station, the future waited for a human ranger and his honey badger companion to show the galaxy what Earth had learned across millions of years of beautiful, dangerous evolution. Tomorrow, they'd ship out and start that journey. Tonight, they rested. Badger kept sleeping, dreaming whatever honey badgers dream about, unbothered by ceremonies or speeches or the galaxy's new understanding of Earth's nature. Because honey badgers don't care about fame or recognition. They just care about being exactly what they are. And sometimes that's enough to change everything.